Morning, everybody. It is 8:11 a.m., March 21st. Start of spring was yesterday. Welcome to my channel. Today is quad witching. Just for anybody who doesn't know what that is, futures contracts are changing. The futures options contracts are rolling over. Index options are expiring, and stock. So that's quad witching. So a lot of money's coming off the table today. And usually, sometimes after a quad witching or an OPEX, there's like a change in the market. We'll have to see with all that money coming off the table. We just have to see what's going to transpire. Today, yesterday, we basically kind of moved just sideways. It looked real great from the open, but then those gains were given back, and we're back into this balance. We will break out of it. It's just a matter of when, and nobody knows that timing. Okay, now without further ado, welcome to my channel. My name is Steven Gonzalez. I use market profile, volume profile to find structure in the markets, along with supply and demand, gamma exposure levels, the most traded price of the month, the year, the week, and the previous day. That's my edge. That's how I look at the markets, and I hope I share that with you. I also use market internals, which is back to being my bread and butter, just because the volatility has calmed down a little bit. Those readings are more accurate. And today, since it's quad witching, usually you can expect a volatile early morning. This is all probability and usually doesn't mean it has to happen. And then usually what happens is around large strikes with a lot of gamma, the market tends to pin towards these strikes. And you'll see it happens a lot. Okay, so you'll see that some stocks, and now if you don't have gamma levels on your chart, will just start to pin to a certain price. Okay, so that's what tends to happen sometimes towards, because the today's expiring and the highest gamma is at like an at the money strike. So what the market makers and dealers will have to do is they don't want to go too high above that strike, don't want to go too low behind the strike. So it kinds of pins like short long, and it can go away. Like, it can go up to whatever stock you're looking at. Let's just say Tesla because it moves quicker. $1, come right back down. Go under $1, come right back up, and then it usually closes very close to that strike. So that's what tends to happen on quad witching interval. As always, hopefully you join me every morning. I give you the lowdown on the markets. I give you the leaders and the laggards. I give you the story of the market. Also, economic calendar, along with market news, and the long and short trade scenarios later on with the NASDAQ and the ES. And that kind of sets up everything for me. That analysis, even swing trades, whatever I'm doing, I kind of want to get on the right side of the markets and make sure that my analysis is correct. Okay, so that's later on. And now let's get into watch list here and see what's moving markets. All right, the VIX is leading our market today. It's at a 20. It's up 1.57%. 30-year bonds are being bought. Bitcoin is up basically flat though, up 0.11. Gold's flat. Dollar's flat. Ethereum's down 0.18. ES is down 0.22. Crude down 0.24. The Dow is down 2.24. Nasdaq's down 0.31. Russell's down 0.44. Silver's down 0.56, and the 10-year yield is down 0.64. That's what's going on with futures. If we look at the Mag 7 Plus here, Tesla's been getting battered. They're only up 0.48%. I saw some negative things and positive things about Tesla this morning. So Berkshire Hathaway up 0.34 and Meta's up 0.26. All right, now we get to the laggards. Let's go with we'll just start from here. GE down 0.21, Google's down 0.22, Broadcom down 0.42, AMD down 0.46, Coinbase down 0.49, Nvidia is down 0.55, Coinbase, just remember, Coinbase, Apple's down 0.84. So Apple's the liar out of this list. Okay. If we move on to sectors, all right, in sectors, who's the lead in the pack this morning? There is no leader per se. Nothing is in the green as we speak. In the red is financials, basically flat. Energy's down 0.13. Discretionary is down 0.18. Technology is down 0.37. And semis are the laggard, down 0.85. Okay, so semis down. All right, they're the laggard today. Now, let's move into economic calendar and some news. Okay, let's give me a sec. Economic calendar is kind of light today. All right. Today we got some Fed speak. Fed Goolsbee 8:30. Fed Williams at 9:05 a.m. And that's really all you have today. It's very light. And remember, it's quad witching. Okay. Now, as far as any kind of big news, let's see here. All right, it says global markets fell as a slew of disappointing company reports raise new fears in the market already dealing with the threat of catastrophic U.S. trade war. Okay, FedEx, we'll get into that later. They didn't have good earnings. I'm just trying to see if there's anything red here that stands out. Not really. All right, so that's that. We'll get into some news here. All right, so global flight turmoil as London's Heathrow closed by huge fire. That's a big news there. J&J plans to invest more than $55 billion in the U.S. over the next 4 years. FedEx shares slide as annual forecast cuts stoke worries on economy. FedEx shares fell in pre-market trading after the parcel delivery firm cut its annual forecast, fanning worries about the health of the U.S. manufacturing and amid certainty from the Trump administration sweeping tariffs on trading partners. So anytime a shipping carrier, that's usually the sign of our economy. So then Nike trips as forecast of another sales decline dims quick turnaround hopes. Nike shares slipped in pre-market after the sportswear giant warned of another quarter of sales decline, leaving some investors worried about the pace of crucial turnaround under the new CEO Elliott Hill. Okay. Now, in some other news, oil was down, though losses were limited as fresh U.S. sanctions on Iran and the latest output plan from OPEC plus producer group raised expectations of a tighter supply. All right, let's see. I saw some home builders are down this morning. So Lennar, the company reported lower first quarter profit on Thursday as high mortgage rates and house prices deterred potential buyers. Okay, let's see. Micron. The company forecast third quarter revenue above Wall Street estimates on Thursday, signaling strong demand for its high bandwidth memory HBM chips used in the AI models. Okay. Talked about Nike, Johnson & Johnson, now Tesla. Okay, this is I think the negative news I heard this morning. Motorists have traded in a record number of the company's electric vehicles this month. Edmunds data showed, amid a wave of protests against CEO Elon Musk's work as an advisor to the U.S. President Donald Trump. Tesla cars from model year 2017 or newer accounted for 1.4% of all vehicles traded in until March 15th, up from 0.4 in March last year. According to the data provided to Reuters by Edmunds, in February, the Trump administration first full month, Tesla's made up 1.2% of vehicles traded in. Used Tesla prices will likely decline further as Tesla trade-ins that are undergoing reconditioning reach the market. Edmunds analyst said data from Edmunds showed shoppers' consideration of the new Teslas dropped to 1.8 last month, the lowest level since October 2022, after peaking at 3.3 in November. Now it's been beaten down, that stock. So I know it's probably a lot of political. I know Elon, is talking about robots and stuff like that in the future. So we'll just have to see. So that's that. Now let's see if there's anything new here. If there's nothing new here, we'll move on. Yeah, there's nothing. Well, let's see here. Let's see here. If there's anything new. If there's nothing new, I'm not going to talk about it. All right, we'll move on. And let's look at the breadth. my charts that I track the breadth with of the market. So we're moving up here. Okay, it's sneaky, but there's now 40% of stocks are over the 20-day simple moving average on the daily. So we were down here. So overall, S&P 500 is improving, even though we're kind of like moving sideways lately. So that's something to note, right? And then if we look at, let's see, let's go to here, see if these numbers changed a little bit. So this is the AII investor survey. Bear, 58% are bearish. All right, let's look at the bull. This gives us what investors on this survey are going for. The bulls are at only 21% of these investors are bullish. All right. Now we can look at the bullish percent index. That just means of the S&P 500. This just means how much percent of the S&P 500 are on buy signals, and these are from a point and figure chart that doesn't use time. But it's a good thing just to see. 47.6%, 0.60% are on buy signals. Okay, almost up to 50. So that's been improving. See, it was down here at 34. Okay, and then we'll just look at the new highs minus lows. This number, wow, it's at a -2. So it's almost like out of the whole NYSE exchange, it's like some stocks are put new highs versus new lows, and you're at zero. It's like the same amount. It's like new highs and new lows are equal, which basically says it's indecisive market, right? Indecisive market. Okay, let's just look at real quick the Nasdaq Composite bullish percent index. Let's look at that. Here we go, right here. That's at 40. Okay, so that's what we're looking at with some of the things I just like to look at to see where we're at with the breadth, this investor sentiment, right? So now that we covered that, we can get right into daily charts. Let's get right into daily charts. Let's see what's going on here. Not much to really talk about. We just balanced yesterday. Even though intraday price action can make you feel like, oh man, we're really moving higher. And then it's just nope, 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 nope. All right, let's look at this together. This is our daily charts. And we're in balance again. Okay, so if you look at this, right, and I don't think my marker will show up here, but if we take a rectangle, let's say, and we were in this balance area right here, let's call it right there, right, and this balance area we broke out, and now we're in a new balance area. I know these are not the best because I have these on snap, so let me just activate the string. Let me push it out. Let's just do that. Even though I know this is a larger balance here, I'm just trying to prove a point here. So we bottomed out here, right, and then we made a move, and now we're balancing higher than this balance area, right? So structurally, now remember, I'm going to call it bullish, but it is a feather in the cap for the bulls, right? So it's not like we're going all the way down here, right? We're holding these prices, just that we can't get out of it. And look, we're just keep hitting last week's highs. We're still in last week's range, okay? And the 200-day moving average is right there. So if you look at certain things like seasonality, which I showed the other day, markets tended like go down in March a little bit, and then they tend to go back up into April. So seasonality wise, we're kind of on track to get at least some type of relief rally. Okay. And then I think we probably go lower, but like who knows? I don't know. Right. So that's what we're doing here in the markets, right? So let's get rid of this. Get rid of this. I just wanted to prove a point there. And 562.30, let's call it, is where we're at. 562.30. So we're below yesterday's lows. So we're gapping down in the stock world. Okay. Let's look at futures just to get a better look. You can see the balance area and you can see where we're at. We're right here. Price is right here, almost at yesterday's lows. Okay. 9 EMA daily is moving sideways to a tiny bit down. Okay, and that just means we're consolidating. Moving on to the Qs. Let's look at those Qs together. All right, here's the Qs. Now the Qs is a little different. They've been relatively weaker. Okay, so you can see the same thing. We had a little balance area here. We broke out of it, and then still we're not at these lows, right? So you still move to a new balance area. And again, they keep hitting last week's highs. So once, twice, three times it's hit last week's highs. But we're not threatening these lows, right? So that is a feather in the cap for the bulls. Okay, 477.50. 477.50. We are right at the lower third. So actually it's relatively stronger this morning in structure. In structure. Okay, so let's look at the futures just to give you an idea here. So futures, we're not at yesterday's lows, we're right here at the lower third. Okay. And if you just look at the futures, this is one of the fastest 10% corrections in history. So this was just like boom, 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 boom. That's very poor structure. If we were to get a bounce, we could see some nice move, but who knows? I don't know. All right, let's move on to the triple-headed monster. That's your bond market. That's your dollar. Let's look at this bond market. Now, remember, I keep saying, was this going to turn into a swing high? Well, the bond market again is starting to slope downwards. Okay, and it's all about that 4.13 yield. If you take this out, you got support here, you got resistance here, and support here. Then it's down to here, 3.99. We just have to see. Okay, the more this goes down, right? The more this goes down, yields go down. That might be showing a little fear, people taking the guaranteed risk over being in a stock in equities, right? So let's look at our dollar. Dollar has taken a mighty fall, and it's just ranging. It just continues to be in this range. Okay, don't know which way it's going to go. If you go down, you're probably going to go all the way down here to 100. If you go back up, you're probably going to go look at 105. All right, let's look at our VIX, our fear gauge, and we went all the way up to 30 and we've dropped off. Now we're kind of bottoming out around 20. So a 20 VIX is still a decent VIX. Okay, you're going to get nice ranges, and so that's our VIX. All right, now moving on to the main event. That's our market profile and volume profile, and we'll get to that in a second. Okay, so let me pull that up. And this is like very easy to analyze today. Very easy. Okay, very easy. So, what are we in? Right? Let me get my marker out. All right, you got a profile here. Let's look at it. You got a little bit of excess at the top. You got a value area. All this is value. So that's value. Then you got a little distribution here with a little bit of excess. Not the prettiest of profiles, but you have the most traded price of the week right in the middle. That is 57.10. 57.10. Now, when you have the most traded price in the week, kind of in the middle, that just becomes like a seesaw, like the mean. So you can go through this level like we have been, right? Because it's not like a resistance or a support. It's kind of just the middle of like a seesaw. So once we come down here and we can't get any more, you go back to the seesaw and then try to do this to go back to the other side, vice versa the other way. Okay. So I can't look at this. Don't get me wrong. You could come up here, get resistance, and fall over, but generally you can see we're crossing it. We're crossing it. Okay. And this is just can't get any simpler than this. Okay. Because look, 5770 to 5765 has been resistant. The month to date anchored VWAP has been resistant. This supply zone has been resistant, right? And then to this, the lower half, what do we have here? The most traded price of the month is 5670. This encompasses the bottom of this balance and a little bit almost, I talked about this level 5650. That's the extreme part of this balance. Now there's immediate lows at 56, let's call it 84. That's been the little balance area. But this extends the balance area here. Okay. So there's only a couple things you could really talk about here. All right. Now, a little feather in the cap, you could talk about it, is the market opened up in the overnight here. That was the only long activity to this much short. So that's around, I would say, 85% net short. And the price is at the bottom of balance. Okay. So, anytime shorts get in trouble up here, they have to, no, I'm sorry. Anytime longs get in trouble up here, they have to liquidate their position. You go all the way back, right? And then people get long, and then shorts have to cover, and you go all the way up. This is how bounce area is formed. Okay. So in this case, where we already know we're 85% net short in the overnight, we know these shorts have been paid. These shorts have been paid. You're at a crucial area, the bottom of balance. Okay. If this market just stays in balance, you want to go long down here and try to go back to the other side of balance. Okay, that's how balance works. That's what I'm saying. It's kind of like very easy to see. Okay, very easy. So I'm going to get right into the scenarios because there's not a lot of nuance here. Okay. So right away, we're going to look at a bull side. Now, a little feather in the cap. We're 85% net short. Shorts have been paid, right? And we're down here. This little green line represents a 12-hour demand zone. A 12-hour demand zone. We know we have support of this most traded price of the month, 5670. If you lose that in the 5650, yeah, it changes the dynamic. Okay, but let's talk about possible scenarios. Okay, so if you want to stay in balance, let's say we come down here and you get support here and you start going. Again, all these shorts and these shorts are going to start to cover. And then you're going to probably get a little bit of fight here. And then if you pop up above this supply zone, you're going to go back to the other side of balance. Now, eventually we will break out. Could that be today? I don't know. But if you do, you got to take out this supply and find acceptance above to see if you can move at least up to last week's highs and futures. That's 58.10. Okay. It's pretty simple. Okay. Now, if we talk about the short side, all right, let's talk about the short side. So, right down here, it's not the easiest trade, and I would not really probably be too excited about it. All right, the first one would be if you take out this little mini balance at 5684, you're going to have to deal with 5670. Okay, and then 5651. So you really need to take this out and find acceptance to see if you can go lower. Okay, that would be the breakout lower. Okay, that you have a lot to go through though. That's what I'm saying. All right, now what else could happen? You could push up, right? You could correct. So shorts take profits, and you have this supply zone here. Now, if the supply zone stays, rejects, now you can really test these lows and see if you can break them. Okay, now if we stay in balance, and today it's just, you know what, there's no big winner, no big loser, there's no big weakness, no big big strength, we could eventually go back up to the other side of balance, right? And what happens here? Well, there's been resistance multiple times. If we hit into that month-to-day VWAP and start going back, well, guess what? We're going to go back. And you probably go back here, or at least here. And then wait for Monday, which everything starts over. New futures, like I said, new index, new stock. Well, everything comes off the table today. It's a big day. Okay. That is your ES. All right. Now, we're going to go to the NASDAQ and wrap it up. So here's your NASDAQ. Okay. Same thing. It's not, there's not much different here. Okay. As we push down. That's fine. Right. You're actually in a great area because, if you think about balance, so this is our balance. We got 201.42. Let's call it 201.40. The month-to-day VWAP and a supply zone. What do we have here? We have, let's call it 197. This has been the bottom of balance for the NASDAQ. Okay. Now you can see real-time trading hours overnight, real-time trading hours overnight, right? So, and you have the 24-hour most traded price is 197. Let's call it 197, right here. This is the playground. Now you also have ultimate balance right here. This level is 198.80 right here. It's the most traded price of the month, the most traded price of yesterday. Just like you have the most traded price of the ES, it's in the middle, right? Normally this is a big wall, but when you're in balance, it can cross it. Okay, just like I was talking about earlier. Now we are gapping down slightly in the NASDAQ. We're gapping down slightly. Okay. Okay, so we're right here in demand, like I said, right? And the overnight inventory, this is where we open this much long to this much short now, and we're at the bottom. So this is definitely some edge, right, to fade this, meaning go long. Okay, because shorts that are up here have gotten paid. Now, if you shorted here, you're getting paid, and you're at the bottom of balance. Okay, you're at the bottom of balance. So if you can't go lower, you're going to go back up. Okay, you can see the profile's thinning out. Profile's thinning out. All right, so basically the same stuff that we talked about in the other futures product contract, the ES. Okay, and we get right into the scenarios here. Now I say it's simple because the TA is simple, right? The TA is simple. Executing it is always the hard part. All right, I know that we're going to can't go lower. We're going to go back higher. Now, when you're trading, it's like when. How do you know what's the time to put your risk on? Because you could get stopped and still be right. Right? So that's where it's always like a, how do I know that's the bottom? Well, you don't. Right? You don't really know. All right, so let's get right into it. We'll start with the bull case. Remember I said we got the feather in the cap. We're pretty much 85% net short, almost 90% net short in the overnight. See, we're pushing lower here as I'm speaking. So you got a little gap. That'd be gap fill right here. But we're at the bottom of this balance, right? You really need to break this level, the 197, in order to really do some damage here. So right here, you're pushing lower. So if you're a bull, you just want to see this price defend it down here, right? So you can start to move up, break this here, yesterday's close, to see if you can go to the other side of balance, right? That could be it. Or you take out the supply, hold, and you can make the move higher. Okay. Now I could see also a little bear trap happening. You got a lot of demand down here. Another key levels are like the 196 level. Even if you came down here and bounced and you took over, you could also find yourself in an up move. We are moving lower right now. Okay. But like I said, this is supposed to make longs here, be on notice. And then they might shake out the long, and then you go back up, right? So let's talk about the bull case. I mean, the bear case. We just talked about the bull case. All right. So the same thing I talked about earlier. If you take this 197 out like this and start accepting price lower, you have the ability to move lower. Could you go back to last week's lows, 193.44? Possibly. Okay, possibly. Can you go up here, have trouble with this most traded price of the month, and roll back over? You could do that. Okay. The most likely candidate is if you can't, if this price eventually goes back up, right? Say the bulls take over, you go all the way back up to the other side of balance. You hit the month-to-day V up, the supply that's been resistant multiple times. This could also be you go right back to the mean, and we finish the day out. Okay, so that's scenarios for today. That does it for me in the analysis. Please smash the like button if you enjoyed that analysis. All right, and as always, hopefully you can come join me every morning. I give you the lowdown of the markets, the news, and basically those scenarios, how to plan out a day, and just wait for your time to pounce. Okay, wait for your time. Now, everybody, have a great day. Have a great weekend. Stay green. No trades a trade. And I will see you guys next week.